Hey guys, this is Logan Freeman, and this is the LiveFree Investors Podcast. I interview investors and business owners who share investment advice so you too can live free. Today, I'm talking to my man, John. John, in a few sentences, tell us who you are and what you do.
Hey, what's up, Logan? Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here.
Thankfully I've got two beautiful daughters, a very talented and successful wife as well, and currently in sales for the staffing technology industry, and then also a real estate investor.
Yeah, there's something to be said about having a really experienced and supportive wife. Talk to me about how that's been. I mean, does she kind of support you in relation to your entrepreneurial adventures in relation to real estate?
I can't speak to how fortunate I am. I mean, I'm so lucky. I mean, she's the most competitive person that I've ever met.
Ooh.
And so anytime, she played basketball in college, and then she actually got a golf scholarship while she was there
Wow.
at school. Yeah. And she's a lefty, so she's got a really smooth swing. So,
Awesome.
but yeah, I mean, she pushes me. And I think times when I am concerned and fearful of what risks may arise, she's like, you got this, you can figure it out. You've gotten yourself this far. So,
Yeah.
From that perspective, I think I'm extremely fortunate. I think our girls are in for a rude awakening. They're already starting to wear us down with their negotiating skills and their aptitude.
Awesome.
But yeah, overall, I think she pushes me to be better. And, thankfully we work together in partnership in that regard.
That's great, man. So, most competitive person that and basketball. So when's the last time you guys played one-on-one?
It's been a while.
All right.
Probably like 6 or 7 years. But yeah, she's got a really smooth stroke. So in the paint, she's got no chance against me. But from the perimeter, she definitely can cross me over and get the shot up over me. So
That's awesome,
we have a good time.
Challenge accepted. If and when we ever get the wives together, I will. I'll bring my basketball hoop. I've been trying, man. I've been out, trying to get my steps, but I also love to shoot hoops and used to play basketball. So I'm trying to get back into, shooting playing my game a little bit. And I was talking to an ex-NBA guy who's playing overseas now, and he's
Nice.
real estate investing. And I was like, all right, man, well, I'm a firm believer. He played for the Pacers. And I'm like, I'm a firm believer. I can do anything I set my mind to. So whenever I meet you, just know I'm gonna be practicing and I'm ready. He's 6'10", by the way. And so I've got
use your quickness, right? Use your quickness.
I wish I had that quickness, man. I don't have it, but maybe I got a little beef on him. I don't know. We'll see. All right, man. So tell me what the best thing about being an investor is in your mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of in line with being a sales professional as well. I think what matters to me is just having, in my mind, more control over the outcomes that I'm a part of. So be it sales, dictating, my commission check, the deals that I have with customers. Being an investor is really no different. And
Right.
so I think that's the same, as I get to pursue the deals that I think are valuable to me. And I have some vested interest in the outcomes. And so for me, I think it all stems back from control and the ability to make the choices that I want, to do what I want when I want to. And for me, that's what about being in sales and being an investor and business owner is kind of what's important to me.
Yeah. That's a really good answer. And I would, I'm a sales professional still to this day. Yes,
Everybody is. You can hate it all you want, but everyone's a salesperson, right?
Parents are salespeople, teachers are salespeople. Everybody's a salesperson. Dan Pink wrote "To Sell Is Human," and it was
great book.
Fantastic. He's a fantastic writer. Just in
ABC, right?
Yeah, attunement, buoyancy, and clarity.
There you go. I always get stuck on the C. Get stuck on the C.
See, I'm not saying I just read the book. I read the book. If you're interested in a book review on that book, since we're mentioning it, hit me up. I wrote a book review on the To Sell Is Human book by Dan Pink, and it's the new ABCs of closing. Glenn Ross was the always be closing. This is attunement, buoyancy, and clarity. So if you want to, chat with me about that book, let me know. I'll definitely share that with anybody who's interested. So. You said one thing though in that response, which I was interested in, is control, because in the book Millionaire's Fastlane, MJ DeMarco talks about the 5 commandments of a business, and it's an acronym. John, you know me well enough now. I have an acronym for everything to remember, and it's the CENTS, CENTS, and the first one is you have to have control. And so that's that's a really big point, because I was working W-2 jobs. No matter how much effort I put in and the results I got paid the same. And that's when I realized that being a sales professional was something that I was made up to be, right? And sure, there's risk in that. Yeah, I mean, there's risk in everything, but with that risk, if there's reward. So it's talking to me about, taking that calculated risk. And I'm a big proponent of, you get paid for the value that you bring to people. And so if you're valuable to your company, if you're valuable to your shareholders, if you're valuable to your investors, you're going to get paid. So I couldn't agree more, man, on the control piece. So with that being said, there's a lot of things that are outside of our control, right?
Yep.
Especially with the economy, with pandemics, with a lot of media coming at you at a fast pace now. So keeping up with those current trends and opportunities can be a real challenge. Tell me how you've overcome that challenge and how you stay up to date.
I mean, I can't really say that I'm doing a great job of it. I mean, to your point, I think it is a challenge. I think, it all stems back from, for me, relationships.
Yeah.
I can't be an expert in everything, nor should I be. That's not really the best use of my time, because I know that I won't have the aptitude to the granular levels that I need for some of these scenarios. And so what I do is I look at the areas that I really want to focus on, primarily for myself personally right now, driving distance within North Carolina.
Yep.
There's some give and take there, right? It's a very competitive market right now. So, finding deals is everybody's stopgap right now. So in other instances, I defer to other operators, to other individuals that have a lot more experience, a lot more aptitude than I have personally. And that's how I go about trying to stay abreast of different opportunities. I'm not going to try to say that I'm an expert in self-storage, mobile home parks, multifamily, really any of this, right? There's a lot of people that have a lot more experience than I have. So how can I, link into their experiences, and how can I learn from them to leverage that experience to help expedite my decision-making process and my understanding? But because at the end of the day, it's all very micro focused, right? It doesn't matter if it's real estate, stocks, anything. I mean, we've seen lemonade. That's one of the new ones that came out. Obviously, if all of us were buying lemonade a week ago, we'd all be, drinking a ton of lemonade, probably with some mixers too, right? So, but I didn't. And why didn't I? Well, it's because I'm not an expert in IPOs and startups, and I don't pretend to be.
Sure.
And I think, the same goes for any type of investment that you make, is you really need to have a good understanding of it. And even then, even if you have a good understanding, there's so many variables and details that are still, like you said, in or out of your control. And being able to handle all of them it's just impossible. It's not going to happen. So again, it comes down to a game of percentages. And, what percent chance do you think this is going to happen? What percent chance do you think that's going to happen? So yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a great answer. But again, at the end of the day, for me, it comes down to building relationships with people that are high integrity and hardworking, and that have a good grasp of the area of their expertise. And that's really how I work to keep my hands on as many opportunities, especially if you talk about, throughout the country versus just, my segment here in North Carolina.
Yeah. Well, I think that makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, you stay in your own sphere of influence and your zone of genius. And when you go outside of it, find somebody who is in that sphere of influence, in that zone of genius. So that's really good. And relationships is important too. I mean, having those relationships with folks across the country that are doing deals, that are in the know, and being able to call them and talk to that, specific, unique opportunity is really, really important. Now, Yona Weiss just posted something on LinkedIn about some of the best advice that, he was asking folks, what's the best advice you've ever received? There were some really good responses. There were some really, okay responses as well. But I'm going to ask you the same question. So what's the best advice that you ever received as an investor?
Yeah. So when you sent me this question, I was thinking about it, right? So I think I don't really like the question, to be honest with you. I don't really think it's fair for me to give advice to somebody until I really understand them. So I take it a step further and I say, what's your purpose? If somebody asks me what's the best investing advice, I say, well, define to me your purpose. What are you looking to do? Are you looking to build a business? Are you looking to retire early? What type of lifestyle do you want? Do you want a family? Do you want to live in one location? Do you want to live in multiple locations? Do you want to just sit on the couch and watch Netflix for the rest of your life? Until they bleed you to death, with their upcharges, right?
That's right.
I just, YouTube TV is killing me right now, right? I have to cut it, right? I was like, come on, man. But so for me, that's really how you define what your investment goals are. So from there, what is your purpose? And then tracking that a little bit further, what's your risk tolerance?
Yeah.
And, I just read, I hate to say I just read this recently, but for anybody that hasn't, I would highly recommend it, is Cash Flow Quadrant by Robert Kiyosaki. And I know everyone says Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Honestly, I still haven't read that one, but Cash Flow Quadrant, the reason to me why it's so unbelievable is that it's all about understanding yourself, why you wake up every day, what you're looking to do, and where you fit in the in the greater, he calls them the quadrants, but where you fit in the quadrants of your risk tolerance.
Yeah.
And so maybe you want to be a high flying investor and, put all this money in these crazy deals, but if your risk tolerance isn't there, you're not going to be happy,
Right.
regardless of what the returns are. Your stress level is going to be through the roof.
Yep.
So for me, it all stems from what is your purpose and what are you looking to do with that? And then you can really start defining what advice is good for you, because, until you really understand your risk tolerance, it's really hard to understand what investment advice you really need.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this speaks to you being successful in sales, right? I mean, you can't, when somebody asks you a question, it's our job as sales professionals to understand why they're asking that question and get to the core of it, right? And so
Absolutely.
You just took a consultative approach to that question, which I do the same thing, because I'm always asking people, okay, well, let's start with the end in mind, right? I mean, that's Stephen Covey's, one of his habits of highly effective people is, let's start with the end in mind, and then let's reverse engineer what you're looking to do.
100%.
So this is,
couldn't agree more.
Yeah, this is a social show. I'm interested to know who you think that would be a good guest on the show. I have to say that we are booked out like until October now, which is incredible. I love doing these things. I love meeting people. I love showcasing folks like yourself. So what other successful business owner or investor do you think should come on the Live Free Investors podcast?
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And obviously that's a testament to, to what you've done for yourself. And so that's pretty impressive, or beyond impressive.
It's a little overwhelming to know that every Monday I've got 4 hours of podcasts until October, but
well, you like to talk, right? You like to talk, so it's all good.
That's right.
So I didn't really want to give you a specific name because there's so many talented people and you've already spoken to so many talented people. One thing that I would bring up is this year I started getting a little bit more involved in nonprofit and work, so we started doing Habitat for Humanity.
Yep.
We started doing food kitchens for with my family, with my girls. And so that's one thing that I think isn't spoken to enough of, is what can we do to give back? It's great to be a high flying investor and have all this money and all this time. But for me, impact is really based upon what you're doing and how you're helping those around you. And so the reason I don't have a specific name is because obviously the relevance for you is probably highly different than the relevance for me being here in North Carolina. So, Durham's an area that I've started to do different events and things through. So, for me, I think that would be the biggest thing, is if you could bring on folks that maybe had more of the social aspect of investing. I think that'd be really good because the Habitat for Humanity is just such an incredible project, and and there, the real estate part of it is there too. And so for me, I think that's the big one. But getting the children involved, my kids I think that's what's important to me. That's one thing I didn't do enough is when I was growing up, is I didn't volunteer enough, and it really helps you reflect on your life and how fortunate you are and how many positive things have happened to you and how many people have really given you a hand up, and then that's your way to give back. So like I said, not necessarily a particular person, but I would be kind of curious about people kind of in your greater metro there that could help those like us that are trying to get to the point where we have that full freedom, and then taking that freedom and really allowing others to get to the heights that they can really attain.
Yeah, that's a really good point, John. And I think that's got my wheels spinning, because I sit on the board of directors of a large nonprofit here focused on ending homelessness. So I think having the CEO of that nonprofit on, maybe I can reach out to Big Brothers, Big Sisters. I'm involved with Habitat for Humanity here as well. I can have those local chapters come on and speak. So that's awesome. I really appreciate you pushing me out of my comfort zone and thinking about that. So the most important question of the podcast: what's your best daily habit on living free?
Oh man, it's got to be the morning, the miracle morning. I've always been someone that wakes up early, but now that I actually have honed in on getting tasks completed early and quickly, and really outlining the night before what I want my morning to look like, by 8 a.m. I'm already, my checklist is already 5 completed, right? And just knowing that and starting the day with such a positive momentum
Yep.
carries through the rest of the day. So for me, it's just getting up, getting through the tasks that are important, and getting the day off on a very positive note.
So do you follow Hal Elrod's Savers kind of process, silence, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading, and scribing, or do you have your own twist on it?
So well enough, I'm too stubborn to follow exactly what he outlined. No, so I get the hydration. So I wake up, I get the hydration, I get the meditation, the reading, the visualization, the scribing, and then the movement. So I kind of mix it up a little bit. I
Yeah.
don't follow it to a T, but one thing that I know that I need to continue to push myself on is the meditation piece. It's
Sure.
just so powerful, and really kind of honing in on the control you have over your body and your mind is beyond powerful. And so
Yeah.
that's one thing that I know I need to continue to push myself, and looking forward to that journey.
That's really nice, man. And I don't follow it to an exact T as well, but what I think it does is gives you a framework, to kind of work through yourself. So there's been that book, and then another guest just spoke about the 5 a.m. Club, which is another book that I think is similar, potentially. But Hal Elrod has had a profound impact on my life. His podcast is really important. He's one of those guys that isn't afraid to talk about the emotional piece of running your own business and being an entrepreneur, which, is not spoken about enough in my opinion. But I love the way that he's been through some serious trials and tribulations in his own life, just beat cancer,
Yeah.
all of this different stuff. It's just, and he attributes a lot of it to the Miracle Morning, which is, that guy's mission and why couldn't be stronger. So I'm curious. So how long have you been doing your morning routine, John?
So we just got the book recently, but I had been waking up and reading for a while. I think for me personally, it's just so easy to push things off till the next day, right? So the hydration, that's one I think we've all heard, right? As soon as you wake up, I can't remember how many countless books I've read that say,
Yep.
Drink 16 ounces of water as soon as you get up. And so really defining it and outlining and kind of showing the proof of concept as to the impact that it has by defining that early on has really helped me. So, so I've been waking up and having somewhat of a morning routine for some time now, but as far as truly defining it and, I think really growing from it has been, within the last couple months for sure, and
Yeah.
really sticking to it.
Jeremy Roll was just on, who's a serial passive investor since I think 2002. And he invested in a business. When I met with him out in California, I was telling him that I like to drink water in the morning. Obviously, I see your water cup behind you there.
Yeah.
But I like to get my greens in too, because I hate vegetables. Like I'm a meat and potatoes guy.
Midwest, right? Yeah, Midwest, right?
Man, I'd eat steak every dinner or every lunch that I could. But I know I need to get those micronutrients, those antioxidants and all of those things. So I've been looking for a nice, kind of thing to add to my water in the morning. And he invested in a business that created kind of a single serving greens powder that has some energy, kind of natural occurring caffeine and some really great greens. It's called Pure Sport. So I'm going to put you up on game right now. Maybe you could get on Amazon and check out Pure Sport, and it doesn't taste terrible either.
For sure. That's awesome. No, I appreciate you recommending that. I'll definitely get on it.
It's great, man. And so anyways, he's I love Jeremy. He's a great guy, but also I think that he only would represent, products that are really good. Cause I've tried some greens powders and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? My wife's always like, what is all over your cup? Like this one mixes really well. So anyways, thank you for that morning routine, spoken like a true investor. How can we find you? How can we connect with you, John?
Yeah, LinkedIn. I mean, that's definitely a place to connect with me. I have my personal site as well, peakcapitalgrp.com. Have a couple projects and a couple success stories on there. So
Awesome.
Always happy to help anyone just trying to learn or whatever they need, right? So I think for me, I'm still on this journey and continuing every day. A lot of people are giving me a hand up, and I'm happy to do so for others as well to help them whatever direction they need to go.
Yeah, you're engaging, you're smart, you're action oriented. I've enjoyed my relationship with you. I can't wait to see where this, whole entrepreneurial, vision and business that you've got is going to take you. So I really appreciate it, man. Thank you for sharing today. Guys, this is Logan Freeman with the Live Free Investor Podcast, where investors and business owners share investment advice so you too can live free. For more insights and ideas on how you can live free, connect and message with myself and with John on LinkedIn today. John, thanks again for joining us today.
Thanks, Logan. Appreciate the time. Have a great one.
Until next time, guys, live free.